So, hi guys, I wanted to talk to you about this series of work that I started working on in um, in July 2022. Actually, I started it before, and I made a series like this that probably started like in January 2022. I haven't talked about it so much. I did show some photos of it, but I realized that it's not always obvious to understand how I work and my process, and to see the final product only is not always giving all the background and all the necessary tools to understand where that comes from. So I wanted to talk to you about this particular series of work that I call HeartBreaks, and they are a series of hearts that I made, and I wanted them to be like the same size as an actual human heart. And I'm looking right now for the heart. Here we go. So I had ordered online a heart. So this is like a plastic heart that is the size of the human heart. I know it feels like it's a little bit small. So, and so I use this as the reference to make the shape of my heart. And the first thing I do is that I actually make one heart like this. So I make it using paper. I will use, it's not really papier mâché in that case at first, but I take paper and I make a shape resembling this shape. And then from there, I do cover it with a series of like layers made of what we call cold ceramics. It looks a little bit like this. All right, something like this. So these are like initially they are like flexible and all that, and once they dry like this. So I cover it like this, then I paint it, and I paint it red, just like it is here as a symbol of the heart. And from there I do cover these hearts. So the reason why I cover them, it just came from this idea that when I started working on my Athena series, that is a series that I started working on early 2021. In that series, I did start to collect the bark of the platanus tree. The platanus tree is actually a tree that is very important in France, and in the south of France in particular. We have them by the side of the road, and we use them to make shading on the roads, and they are very numerous. They are numerous in the south of France, and I used to play with the bark because the bark is peeling off from that tree as a natural thing. It's a natural thing, and then it regenerates itself and leaves marks and shapes. And I was fascinated by these shapes when I was little. And when I came here to Shanghai, I actually started like collecting them again, and all that. And I made a first heart actually using these to cover the heart as a symbol of the protective layers we build around ourselves not to be hurt. So it's a lot about vulnerability and how we behave like socially. And in my personal story, obviously, because it's all about a very personal story. Actually, my work is very personal. Even though it's abstract, it can feel that it is very distant from my personal life, but it actually is very personal in many, many ways. So I will elaborate on that a bit later. But so this series is really about this. It's about these protective layers. So in that case, you know, I started with the platanus tree bark, the shapes that I was cutting out and then placing around and then painting. Unfortunately, I don't have that one here right now because it's in my gallery in Hangzhou. And but I have like two others that I did. So I made a series like this, and relating to the different bracket nicknames that I was given for my way of reacting to people. And one of them was you have a heart of stone, of rock. And so I decided to make one that will be using rocks. And so this is the thing. Each heart is actually coming up in a glass box. This one is not peeled off on purpose, not to damage the box. But as you can see, it's like a plexiglass box, and that is specially made for them. And I make a little pillow cushion to put it on. It reminds me a little bit of Snow White, you know, when an evil stepmother is asking the hunter to bring back her heart. And it makes me think of that very often. And then since Snow White also was placed in a crystal transparent casket when she's dead after eating the apple. But anyway, whatever. So the idea of the heart of rock is like when you know, if somebody wants to hurt you and say that because you feel, oh, you don't listen to me, you're not sensitive to my needs, you're such a hard person and you don't feel a thing. These are things that did hurt me a lot in the past. Still are. If somebody was telling me that today, I think they would still hurt. But anyway, so I decided to make one like this. And as you can see, I chose rocks that were like beautiful rocks, obviously. I wanted these hearts to be jewels, and to yes, talk about the vulnerability and then how we protect ourselves, but also how these hearts are like beautiful and they are like getting hurt, and despite the fact that we are trying to protect ourselves, what's inside and what's under is beautiful. So here you can see all these beautiful stones that are like these stones. You can see there is gold in it. I added gold in between to seal the stones in between each other. And you can see that initially I did build the heart and it is actually inside. So for me, it's always interesting and important to have the heart inside, not just to make the shape and then and pretend there is something in there. So it is in there. So you have like inside the heart, there is the paper, then there is like the shape of the heart that is built, and then with all the arteries, and then after that I do cover it. And so I like to say this is like the jewels of the heart to create, and then it comes in that box, and that's it. So you have like a beautiful piece of work that is unique, because each of them is absolutely unique. You cannot copy it. And yeah, so that's it. And so this is the story of that heart.